Hey y'all, this is Ryan Sheffield, designer of FEROX and co-founder of Craft Fair Games. And in this video, I'll be giving you an overview of how to play the game. So let's get started. The game consists of 6 encounters, which are essentially the rounds of the game. As native warriors are killed throughout an encounter, their tokens are placed on the red skulls, marking the film crew's progress through the jungle. Once all the skulls on a card are filled, that encounter ends and a new encounter card is drawn. The film crew player's goal is to make it to the rescue point with at least one crew member left alive. The native player's objective is to make sure that doesn't happen. They win if all 6 crew members die before they can reach the helicopter. The native player has 4 tribe cards. The names of the tribes are a little hard to pronounce, so to avoid confusion, we always refer to them by their color. They also each have their own color-coded symbol, which will come into play later. Each tribe has a number of color-coded warrior tokens that are kept in their reserves, the center of their card. The red tribe has 9 warriors, the yellow and blue tribes both have 12, and green has 15. They also have unique sets of dice for attacking. And quick side note, since FEROX is a game that involves a lot of death and dying, we always use the plural when referring to any number of dice. So when I say things like roll 1 dice, please don't follow me for my bad grammar. Anyway, each tribe's combat dice reflect their prowess in battle. So for instance, the generally peaceful green tribe has 3 attack dice, each with 2 sides that hit, 2 sides that miss, and 2 that cause warriors to flee. The brutal cannibalistic red tribe, on the other hand, only has 1 attack dice, but it has 4 sides that hit and no flees at all. Now over on the other side of the table, the film crew player has 6 crew member cards. Each one has a dice count, which tells you how many dice that crew member uses when they attack. They also have an HP or hit point track. As the crew member takes damage throughout the game, you'll move their HP marker down the track, 1 space for each hit of damage they take. If the marker reaches or surpasses the skull, that crew member has died and their card is removed from the game. Each of the crew members also have a unique ability, which can be activated when you choose to expose them during your turn. More on that in a bit. So let's talk gameplay. Each encounter consists of 4 phases: drafting, exposing, playing, and resetting. Phase 1, draft 2 new cards. At the start of a new encounter, both players will choose 2 new cards to add to their draw deck. This works the same way as the pre-game drafting that I described in the previous video. Each player will draw 2 cards from their drafting deck, pick 1 to keep and 1 to remove from the game. They'll repeat this process one more time, and the 2 cards they drafted will form their starting hand for the new encounter. Important note, you'll skip this phase for the first encounter, the crash site. Instead, both players will simply draw the top 2 cards of their draw deck to form their starting hand. Phase 2, exposing warriors and crew members. Now both players need to decide who will be initially involved in the encounter. This is done by exposing them. With very rare exceptions, only exposed warriors and crew members can attack and be attacked. So during this phase, the native player chooses any number of warriors from their tribe's reserves and exposes them by placing the tokens in front of the cards. It's up to you how many warriors you expose, but you should keep in mind that it's pretty unlikely you'll get any reinforcements, and if all your exposed warriors flee or die, the crew will advance to the next encounter. While the natives are doing that, the film crew player needs to choose 2 of their crew members to expose. This is done by pushing the cards forward on the table like so. Now, exposing a crew member during play activates their ability, but we haven't started playing the encounter yet. The 2 you're choosing right now are starting the encounter already exposed, and you won't be able to use their abilities unless you have a card that allows you to do so. So choose wisely. Once you're both done exposing, it's time for Phase 3, playing the encounter. The player with the most rage goes first. Since the natives start the game with 6 rage, as opposed to the film crew's 5, they always start the first encounter. On your turn, you can either play a card or draw a card. To play a card, you must first pay its rage cost. That's the number printed in the top right-hand corner of each card. Simply pass the appropriate number of rage tokens to your opponent and resolve the card. If you can't or don't want to play a card, you have to draw one. Take the top card off your draw deck and add it to your hand. If your draw deck is depleted, simply shuffle your discard to form a new one. In addition to playing or drawing a card, remember it's either one or the other, not both, You can also use any number of relevant items you have in play. More on that later. The film crew player also has the option to expose any number of crew members at any point during their turn. Exposing crew members brings them into the battle and activates their ability. It's up to you if you want to use the ability, but it has to be used immediately. You can't save it for later. Also keep in mind that unless a card says otherwise, exposed crew members stay exposed till the end of the encounter. So quick recap. On your turn, you can either play a card or draw a card. In addition, you can also use items and/or expose crew members. At the end of your turn, if you have all 11 rage tokens at the end of your turn, you have to give one to your opponent. If you have more than 5 cards in your hand at the end of your turn, you have to discard down to 5. You choose which cards are discarded, but if you have more rage than your opponent, you have to pay them 1 rage for every card you ditch. Players will alternate taking turns until one of the following conditions are met. All red skulls on the encounter card are filled with dead warriors, or all exposed warriors have died or fled, as in the coast is clear. Phase 4, reset. Once the encounter has ended, we more or less clean the slate. Both players discard their hands and any items they have in play. All crew members are unexposed, and all remaining warriors return to the reserves. You'll then draw the next encounter card, attach it to the previous one, and start again at phase 1. So quick recap, draft 2 new cards to form your hand, choose who starts out exposed, play the encounter, reset. The game ends when all skulls on the final encounter card are filled, they've reached the helicopter, or all 6 crew members are dead. So that's an overview of how you play FEROX. In the next video, I'm going to go over the different card types and how attacking works, so stay tuned for that. And then in the final installment of this video series, we're going to do a full playthrough of an example encounter. So stay tuned and don't hesitate to hit us up if you have any comments, questions, concerns of any kind. We're always around and we're always down to talk to you, so definitely hit us up and I'll see you soon.